Hello and welcome. If we haven't met yet, then my name is Claire. I'm a registered nutritionist and I specialise solely in helping women with PCOS because I have it too, and I know how damn frustrating all the symptoms are, whether that be that you're trying to get pregnant or that your periods are like 90 days long. Maybe it's that you're getting acne even when you're in your 20s and 30s. Maybe it's hair growth on your body and face. Maybe it's hair loss. Or maybe it's just that it's the weight gain or the things that no one talks about, like the lack of energy, the ridiculous sugar cravings, the feeling hungry every 2 hours. Or maybe you're getting like boils in your groin and armpits and you're like, what is causing all this stuff? I know how damn frustrating it is, especially when you feel like you're already living a healthy lifestyle and you just think it's so unfair that you're getting all these symptoms. So that's exactly why I specialise in this area, because I have been through this and I know what it's like. And I also know what it's like to try lots of different diets and supplements and nothing really seems to work. So what we do here is, what we're trying to figure out is what's driving this hormonal imbalance for you. Okay, our genetics play a massive role, but they have to kind of be turned on by something in our environment or a system in our body that's not functioning properly. So in PCOS, we know from the scientific research that our insulin, the hormone that regulates our blood sugar, plays a massive role for about 80% of us. We also know that our stress hormones that are chronically elevated also play a big role for about 50% of us. A thyroid condition for about 25%, and chronic inflammation for a large proportion as well. So the thing is, the secret when it comes to PCOS and figuring out what lifestyle treatments are going to help you is to understand what it is that's driving that. So for you, is it the insulin resistance? And what's causing that? Is it lack of vitamin D? You don't have enough B12. You're just not quite eating foods that work with your insulin properly. How can we help to make your body more sensitive to your insulin hormone so it's not having to produce so much anymore? Or if it's stress hormones, what's causing that stress hormone in your body to be overactivated? Is it exercise? Is it your job? Is it lack of sleep? Once we know this information, then I can actually give you the tweaks that are going to work in your lifestyle. I don't want to have to completely overhaul everything that you're doing at the moment because that's just purely unsustainable. So what I want to do is I want to identify the most important things in your body to be able to identify then what it is that's going to make the biggest difference. I'm a real 80-20 person, right? I want to have the biggest impact by making the least amount of changes. Okay, so what we need to do first though is we need to figure out what's causing this in your body. So what I'm going to take you through is how we do this in the PCOS protocol. I'm going to take you through what kind of questions I ask and how I can tell from symptoms, things that a doctor might not ask you, what likely is causing that. And then maybe some stuff about family history or other body measurements that can tell me a lot as well. And then where necessary, it might be a few lab tests or blood tests that can help us further confirm what we suspect. So I'm going to take you through that now so you can understand how we do this and then how this is going to lead me to be able to give you the most important lifestyle changes to make. So to start with, we want to understand a little bit about some of your symptoms. So these are some of the things that we ask about. For example, you can see the first question there is, what is your waist to height ratio? I don't really care what this is, but from a personal level, but from a professional level, it can tell me a lot about what your insulin is doing. And so same thing about, just your waist measurement, whether you have previously been diagnosed with insulin resistance, that's going to tell me a huge amount, or diabetes, or pre-diabetes as well. Whether you might have had some blood tests already that look at your fasting blood glucose or your fasting insulin. Maybe you have other symptoms as well. So maybe it's that you have things like dark velvety patches in the folds of your skin. Again, these kind of are all bodily symptoms that can tell me heaps. So whether you, for example, you might not know that what your blood glucose or insulin levels are, and that's okay. And you might not, but you might be able to see things, like you'll definitely be able to take a tape measure and measure your waist to height ratio, and also measure your waist. And you'll also know if you have these dark velvety patches, things around like the back of your neck, or maybe the front of your neck, or maybe it's in your armpits or other folds of your skin. Then I also want to understand about what's happening in your other symptoms. So what does it feel like for you, during the day at the moment? Do you feel tired after meals? Do you crave sweets during the day? Do you find that even when you eat sweets, you still crave them? Like you could have something and then you'd be like, oh my God, I could eat way more of that. And do you feel like when you're eating, all you can think about is what sweet things you're going to have after? I mean, these kind of questions, one on its own doesn't tell me anything, but when grouped together, these can tell me a lot about how your body and how the systems in your body are functioning, from your insulin to your stress hormones and to your thyroid or inflammation as well. The other thing I want to understand is things like what your family history is. So do you have a mother, father, grandparents, sibling, aunts or uncles who have diabetes or insulin resistance, or do they have heart disease? Maybe do any of your relatives, especially females, have a thyroid condition? This can also tell me a lot about what you're likely predisposed to as well. So this will be hopefully helping you to see that you may not need a whole bunch of blood tests done. Like we can see from many of your symptoms, again, if we can group them together and you can see what's happening, I can tell a lot about that from there. So I hope that you can see that it's not all just about lab test results. If you don't have lab tests, that's okay. We can tell a lot about what's going on in your body by asking lots of questions about your symptoms and your family history. Okay, so I hope that you can see that it's not all about lab test results. If you haven't got a lot of lab tests, it's not a big deal in many cases. You can have we can tell a lot about what's going on in your body by asking lots of questions about your symptoms and your family history and things like body measurements. Again, just to reiterate, not one question like feeling tired in the afternoon about 3 p.m. doesn't tell me much, but grouped with lots of other symptoms about what's going on can tell me a heck of a lot about what's going on in your body as well. So it's about, for me, asking you lots of questions, and then we know the groupings, what they mean when they're grouped together. So that's what we aim to do. For some people, for about 10%, we can't tell from their symptoms alone what has been going on. And so therefore for them, it is necessary to go and get further testing. And for some women, they'd like to, once they've gone through this, they might like to go and get some tests done to really confirm it, because they like to see in black and white on paper what is going on inside their body. And that's okay, but what we can do is we can direct you to the 1 or 2 tests you're definitely going to need. So instead of having to fight with your medical practitioner to get a whole bunch of all of the tests to then figure out, well, it's not those things. We want you to be able to pick your battles or spend the money on a test that's going to tell you the biggest amount of information. So we can direct you to what we think is likely going on, and then you can get some tests to confirm. Okay, so that's really what we're trying to identify through from here. But in most cases, we can be 90% sure about what's likely going on, and therefore at least start you in the Pcos protocol and making what is going to have the biggest changes in your so changing your lifestyle would have the biggest impact. Rather than you having to then wait for weeks or months. We can get you started right away, and then while you're getting some tests to confirm, you've already gone through and made some significant changes that in most cases are already helping you. So I hope that helps to understand a bit about what we do, especially about how we try and identify what's going on in your body and how we can therefore give you the most appropriate lifestyle changes to make.